Noahide laws. Now, if you've seen our earlier videos, you're a little bit more familiar. This is kind of like going back a little bit, but in this thought paper, we first asked, how we talked about the Noahide laws in the April thought paper and how non-Jews are taking the Noahide vow. So we're just going to skip to that real quick, which was this one right here, April 2019, which was Admite Part 15 on the abomination of desolation. And those two thought papers had charts. So we drop down, let's see, where is it? Yep, right here. So this was a Stop the Press, titled An Attack on the First Angel's Message, Part 2. 4 warnings, if any man worship. And this is a warning. So the 3 questions that were asked last month were, do these developments misapply the Godhead in the first commandment? Ask yourself, are they an attack on the first and third angel's message? Are they an attack on the everlasting gospel? And what you will find is that these developments regarding, the Shema and the red heifer and the addendum and the Noahide laws and the third temple and all this, which is involving this global Shema and this false view of God, is that yes, it is an attack on the everlasting gospel, the sanctuary message against Christ as high priest administration, the first angel's message, which is fear God and give glory to him and worship him that made, which is just John 1:1, 2 in beginning. And so yes, it does misapply the Godhead in the first commandment, thou shalt have no other gods before me. So if John 1:1 says that there was 2 in beginning and you believe that there was 1 or 3, how is that not having, another God beside the God of the Bible? So this was a Noahide vow. And so there's the link. And I believe if you click on that, it should bring it up from, yep. Non-Jews take Noahide vow on Temple Mount, recreating biblical Ger Toshav. Okay, and that's the article that talks about it. Okay, so you click on that and read it, but we just highlighted some of the key points. So the narrative explains non-Jews take Noahide vow on Temple Mount, recreating biblical Ger Toshav, dated 21st June 2018. Non-Jewish Americans on a tour of Jerusalem made a special stop to ascend the Temple Mount. There they met Eliyahu Weber, introduced by David Katz, explaining that they were non-Jews who kept the Noahide laws. Non-Jewish Americans keeping the Noahide laws. So what is one of the Noahide laws? To not blaspheme God. Okay, so how do we not blaspheme God? Well, the answer to that would be, well, you have to say that there's only one God. Okay, and so if you're talking to somebody, this persuasion, this is when the truth that was shared in the Elohim Declaration, the masterpiece of divinity, the masterpiece of deception, the masterpiece of deviltry, the 7 Noahide laws, this is where this truth will be all the more relevant. Okay, so they keep the Noahide laws. Amazingly, what followed was an oath to obey the 7 Noahide laws, incumbent on all of mankind. All of mankind, including you and me, in front of a bet din, or rabbinic court. Weber then is reported to have suggested that they take a vow to uphold the Noahide laws while there on the Temple Mount, to which they are said to have enthusiastically agreed. A similar group of Texans had taken the same vow last year. Then the story relates that 7 Noahide laws are not explicitly mentioned in the Bible, but are listed in the Talmud, Tractate Sanhedrin 107a, as being incumbent on all of mankind. So, dear reader and viewer, are you going to subscribe to keep the Talmud, these Noahide laws, in place of the 10 Commandments? Then, if that wasn't enough, in further apostasy, the individuals are reported to have accepted upon themselves not to include a shitteth in their belief. Shitteth is a theological concept meaning a partner. So these who, took this vow and agreed to this, they had to agree to not include a belief that includes a partner. More specifically, a partner or additional divine figure other than the God of Israel. So there you have it. The counterfeit Shema says there's only one God. So with ancient Israel, when the second eternal Father, number 2, emptied himself of the form of God, took the form of a slave, came, who was God manifest in the flesh, he was rejected. On what? Charges of blasphemy, because he claimed to be God. Remember when the high priest rent his robe, when Jesus was referring to and made mention of that text in Daniel? And you shall see the Son of Man. Okay, in Daniel, the Son of Man came to the Ancient of Days, and they brought him near before him. So they have to include in there this acceptance and this Noahide vow and acceptance, and they cannot have a partner. So no additional divine figure other than the one God of Israel. How deceptive, how dangerous, scary. The counterfeit Shema says there is only one God. The Catechism says there is only one God. Laodicea in 27 Fundamentals, number 2 and 4, say there's only one God. So when all this stuff starts to really come together in this unity and ecumenism and everything, well, why not? You believe in one God, I believe in one God. These group over here, they believe in only one God. We can all come together on the issue of what? The Godhead. The day will be, doesn't matter whether it's the 6th day of the week or the 7th or the 1st day of the week. Then the ultimate outcome was revealed. We don't define ourselves as Christian. What? What does it say here? So there's this group that goes and meets with these fellows here and takes this, an oath to obey the 7 Noahide laws, but there's this group of Texans. The story relates to 7 Noahide laws, Then if it wasn't enough in further apostasy, the individuals are reported. So whether that's the group of Texans or the group that's meeting now, and I think it's this, these non-Jews take Noahide vow, which whether it's one or the other, doesn't matter. We don't define ourselves as Christian and no longer believe in Jesus. We are Ger Toshav and are connected to Israel. No great high priest. This is a classic example how mainstream Christianity's theology and ideology regarding supporting praying for modern Israel leads to. This change of mind in these ex-Christians is a very serious development. Indeed, this example should be considered troublesome, but not impossible for a Christian to come to this conclusion, particularly after a visit to Jerusalem and taking a Noahide vow. This is an attack on all 3 points mentioned here. Why? Because the Godhead in the first commandment, the first, which says, worship him that made, the third angel's message in the everlasting gospel. We have not seen the last of the Noahide laws and their opportunity to bring about an oppressive law, even without taking a Noahide vow. Again, the 7 Noahide laws are: do not deny God, the counterfeit Shema; do not blaspheme God, the counterfeit Shema, as understood in Judaism's interpretation of the Shema, which is the same as the little horn, which is the same as many on the outside, the independent Laodicean. And then, of course, there's the rest of the Noahide laws, but it's these first 2, do not deny God and do not blaspheme God, that warrants our attention. Okay, so back to the article on the Noahide laws. So, fact is, the Noahide law defies the First Amendment. The first 10 amendments, the Bill of Rights, were ratified effective December 15th, 1791 of the U.S. Constitution, wherein it said, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion. That First Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America prevents Congress from making a law respecting an establishment of religion. But the Jewish Noahide law was signed into Congress in 1991. Totally breached. In total violation of the First Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America. This shocked me when I first heard of this. It still is a shock today. Here's how the U.S. Congress violated the First Amendment by signing into law the Noahide Law in 1991, signed by U.S. President G.H.W. Bush. And there's a link, and you can click on that link. And here it is. HJ Resolution 104, designate March 26, 1991 as Education Day USA. And here it is. And you can look through that. That's the link. Okay. And the key points were begun and held at the City of Washington on Thursday, 3rd day of January. And we've covered this in prior videos on that series about the Admonte versus 7 Noahide laws. So you could go back and have a look at those videos if you haven't seen them yet. So the 3rd day of January 1991, March 26, 91, Education Day. Congress recognizes the historical tradition of ethical values and principles which are the basis of civilized society upon which our great nation was founded. Whereas these ethical values and principles have been the bedrock of society from the dawn of civilization, when they were known as the 7 Noahide laws. And then it gets in, talks about the Lubavitch movement. Okay. And Rabbi Menachem Mendel Schneerson, a tribute to this great spiritual leader on March 26, 91, 7 Noahide laws. Whereas this will be reflected in an international scroll of honor signed by the President of the United States and other heads of state. Let it be resolved by the Senate and House of Representatives of the United States of America and Congress assembled at March 26, 91, the start of the 90th year of Rabbi Menachem Schneerson, leader of the worldwide Lubavitch movement, is designated as Education Day USA. The President is requested to issue a proclamation calling upon the people of the United States to observe such day with appropriate ceremonies and activities. Again, the 7 Noahide laws: do not deny God, do not blaspheme God. Okay? So if you have a group saying, okay, the Shema says this. This is what we believe about God. Here we have these laws. There's 7 of them. And you're not to deny God, and you're not to blaspheme God. And it's incumbent upon all mankind. And there's people going there taking vows to uphold it and keep it, and saying that they're no longer Christians and they no longer believe in Jesus. And here's an example of more Noahide propaganda. The daily prayer book for Noahides was made at a request of Noahides who came to us with a recital of the Shema. So the article notes the nations may say the first line of the Shema, which is a declaration of faith that God is one. Rabbi Turkey said, according to Jewish resources, in the future, God will be one throughout the world. This verse describes a dynamic in history through which God will be revealed as one to the entire world. Oh, who's that going to be? The one who wanted to be like the Most High, who has counterfeited everything that is genuine. The Commandment Covenant. And you have the counterfeit Noahide laws. The genuine Shema. Gods. The Echad working together. Oneness and duality. Now you have this counterfeit Shema. God is one. God will be one throughout the world. Revealed as one to the entire world. And so, for the Friday keepers, let's say there's only one God. You know who his name is. And which is Satan. The Catholic Church, Woman of Revelation 17, in Catechism, Trinity, one God. Laodicea, Fundamentals 2 and 4, there's only one God. Unity of 3 co-eternal persons. Mainstream Christianity, Laodicea, Judaism, the Friday Keepers. Think about the number of adherents to all these. And then think about those that came out of, supposedly came out of Laodicea, but are still Laodicean independent movements who have views on the Godhead for, that are Gnostic emanationism, Trinitarian, doing a 360, getting away from the Trinity, but still holding parts and ideas contained in that central doctrine of the little horn. That Christ was begotten, birthed, born, emanated, brought forth, birthed in eternity, and all this other erroneous, blasphemous teachings. And here it says, God will be revealed as one to the entire world. Oh, wow. Okay. Well, something to think about. So that is the 4th video in this series on the Noahide laws and the addendum in the Shema, call for the global Shema, and the red heifer. And we're going to need to cover more as we go forward. So look here, you have the, if you're on the YouTube channel, here's the videos that we did on the 7 Noahide laws, if you haven't seen them yet. Okay. But the masterpiece of deception, that's the series on that for the Godhead. There's the Elohim declaration. Here's part 3 and 2, and down here, which we did earlier, was part 1. Okay, that's hugely important. Okay, there's the masterpiece, the Alpha and the Omega, the masterpiece of divinity, the domain of divine series, which here's part 9. Here's part 8 and 7 and 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Those series, have a look at those, and especially the videos on Revelation 4 and 5. So hope that helps. Until next time, God bless. Stay tuned and take care.